What's going on, everybody? It's that time of year again. You know, the top 20 sports stars of Tampa Bay in 2020. I'm Jay Retcher here with you. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you're sharing this on your Facebook. Spread that love, man. This is really one of the funnest things that I do all year. This year, I got a chance to talk to over 30 Tampa Bay media members. They voted beat writers from right here in Tampa Bay. So they kind of have their finger on the pulse of what happens right here in Tampa Bay. So let's not waste any more time. Let's start with number 20 right here on the list of the top 20 sports stars of Tampa Bay in 2020. And you guessed it, Bruce Arians comes in at number 20. A lot of people would think kind of low for the Buccaneers head coach, but hey, man, listen, a lot of people, happy with Tom Brady's in town. Yeah, of course. Not too happy with how the season's gone, even though they are sitting at a 7-5 record. But hey, man, listen, Bruce Arians doing a fantastic job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A little low at number 20? I think so. I would have had him a little bit higher on my list. What do you guys think? Feel free to join us here on Facebook. I'm sharing this thing on my Facebook too, and making sure that you guys leave those comments so I can do the same and we'll converse back and forth. But Bruce Arians, as you see on the screen there, number 6 last year. So from 6 to 20, a little bit of a drop for him. But hey, he's still on the list. So there's still a lot of people here in the Tampa Bay area that think, hey, Bruce Arians is still one of the big stars. And, this isn't one of those things where it's like the best year or the best stats or anything. It's star power. That's the way I described it to the media members on if you see a guy walking down the street, who would it be and who would be the biggest star? Bruce Arians comes in at number 20. Let's see who comes in at number 19. Yeah, Tony Dungy, not ranked last year. Kind of ironic that a former Buccaneer coach, a guy that hasn't coached in a long time, is actually higher on the list than Bruce Arians is right now. And you just have to take into account what Tony Dungy does in the community here, the All-Pro dads. I mean, he's still a huge staple of this Tampa Bay community. He does a great job with the Sunday Night Football gang over the years and now doing Notre Dame football this year. He still has a huge impact. We talk about him a lot on the Ron and Ian show. Just an awesome dude all the way around. So a little bit of a surprise, if you ask me, at number 19, we see Tony Dungy make this list. Number 18, Kevin Kiermar. He moves up one slot from 19 last year. Good to see KK on the list. We talked to the great Dave Wills today with Ron and Ian. If you missed it, it's up on ronandian.com. And he even said he wouldn't be shocked if Kevin Kiermar gets traded. And it's going to be kind of tough to swallow that pill because KK's been such a big part of the Tampa Bay race for years. One of the best defenders in the game, Platinum Glove Award winner, and he's a guy that other teams have to take into account. You look at him and go, man, that ball might not fall because KK is out there. So Kevin Kiermar is a guy, to me, a star. I mean, he played really well in the postseason, too. You can give him a lot of grief for his offensive struggles over the years, but I don't think you can do it this year. He came through when they needed him, and outside of Randy Arozarena, and hint, hint, you might see him a little bit later on, but Kevin Kiermar, I thought he did a really good job in the playoffs and really held his own, and a certain star, I think, in the Tampa Bay area. When people think about Tampa Bay sports, Kevin Kiermar is one of those guys that, he's been carrying the flag the last couple of years, and not just a guy that is a Rays fan. You see all the support that he has for the Bucs and the Lightning as well. Number 17 on the list, Lavonte David. I love this picture with the smoke there. What an unbelievable player, one of the more underrated players in the NFL. We've been talking about this pretty much not even just this year, for the last couple of years, about how he doesn't get that love nationally. I think this year, with more eyes on the Buccaneers with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and Antonio Brown, a guy like Lavonte David gets a lot more love. He and Devin White, one of the more formidable linebacker duos in the National Football League. And he's getting his due on the list this year, getting number 17 on our count. Last year, again, as I said, an honorable mention. Guys, if you want to join us here on the Facebook Live, again, share this on your Facebook like you do with Bolts Breakdown and all of our other Facebook Lives. And leave those comments below. We got Joe D'Angelo here. Let's hope hockey season starts as planned. John Utch, number 1 should be Finnick. I'm going to tell you, John, Jeffrey Finnick is on the list. Is he number 1? You're going to have to keep it locked right here and find out, just like the rest of us. But yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I'm hoping hockey season starts January 13th. That is the date that we are hearing, and hopefully everything goes well when it comes to the COVID protocols and the vaccines. And you need fans for the National Hockey League. I cannot wait for all of our fans here in the Tampa Bay area to be the Thunder again at Amalie Arena. All those sellouts, I miss it. That's one thing. You love the Stanley Cup victory, but you missed being home and being at Amalie Arena and supporting the Bolts. Hopefully we see that more in 2021. Number 16 on our list of the top stars in Tampa Bay. Who is it? It's Rob Higgins. Last year he was number 12. This year number 16. If those of you don't know who Rob Higgins is, you should. Our guy from the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. The reason why, and you see the great picture here with Titus O'Neil. This is from the announcement last year from WrestleMania with the beautiful WWE belt that he has there. Rob is the guy that is in that meeting room and on those phone calls with the people with the Super Bowl and the national championship game and NCAA and the Final Four and all that jazz and WrestleMania, Super Bowls, like I said, everything. Rob Higgins is our guy, and there's no bigger ambassador for Tampa Bay than Rob Higgins. He's such a nice guy, so down to earth, and he's always willing to help out in any way to make our area great. It's not just the city of Tampa or the city of St. Pete. It's all the surrounding areas. Rob Higgins is he's a salt of the earth dude, and he's really the guy to thank when we get all these big events. And I know last year kind of stunk, or this year, because of the COVID stuff and things had to get canceled, but Rob Higgins is that guy. He's that voice in the room for Tampa Bay. So, anytime you ever come across a guy like Rob Higgins or you hear about a guy like Rob Higgins, give him his due, man. He's just an awesome guy. And number 16 on our list this year after being number 12 last year. Number 15 on the list for the top 20 sports stars in Tampa Bay of 2020 is... Oh, we're going to do our honorable mention. Let's do that. These are the 5 guys that missed the list this year. And if you can see, Jason Licht, the Buccaneers general manager, and there's a lot of people eating crow when it comes to Jason Licht. People are saying, what is this guy doing? Why did he draft this guy? Why did he go out and sign that guy? Listen, Bruce Arians wouldn't be here. Tom Brady wouldn't be here. Rob Gronkowski wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the guy at the top of the list, Jason Licht. He's done a really good job kind of finding those guys, those undrafted free agents. I mean, look at the selections of guys like Ali Marpet and Alex Kappa. I know he is going to be one of those guys that is going to be so polarizing in the history of Tampa Bay sports, if not just the Buccaneers, because of some of the decisions. I know the Aguayo thing and some of the other first and second round picks that didn't work out, but he's done a pretty good job with getting guys here, re-signing Ndamukong Suh, re-signing Jason Pierre-Paul, signing Shaq Barrett to that franchise tag. I mean, he's done a lot of good things in the Tampa Bay area. That's why he's on the honorable mention list here. Charlie Morton, now with the Atlanta Braves, but such a wonderful time in his 2 years with the Tampa Bay Rays. Every time he had the ball on the mound, it gave you a lot of confidence as a Rays fan that he was going to do his job. I mean, all I got to say is CFM, and a lot of people know that means Charlie freaking Morton. Some people may not mean freaking, it might mean something else, but hey, we're going to keep it PG on the program here today. Julien Brisebois, the general manager for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm surprised he didn't make the top 20. Did such a great job putting together that Tampa Bay Lightning team that was able to hoist the Stanley Cup in 2020. You're going to see a lot of Bolts here in a bit, but he didn't freak out last year when people were saying, oh, they should blow the team up, you should fire John Cooper, you should trade Stamkos and Kucherov. No, he went out there, he got high-character guys, goes to get a Maroon, goes to get a Shattenkirk, and then how about the deals that he made around the deadline, getting guys like Barclay Goodrow and also Blake Coleman and Zach Bogosian. Man, Julien Brisebois, fantastic job this year. Brett Phillips, and that's what tells you. You can have a long, storied career. You can be here for 5, 10, 15 years, or you can be here for a cup of coffee, like Brett Phillips, the local kid from the St. Pete area. Look at what he's done in just a short time, the unbelievable walk-off hit that he had. He was such a great teammate in that series in the ALCS. Remember when Randy Rosarena was going off and he had that kind of little whiteboard where he was like, rakes every night, day, and year? I mean, that's the kind of teammate, that's the kind of guy he is. And to see him come through in the World Series and his teammates mob him, that's why he made the honorable mention list. It made such a big impact, and it didn't take very long. And then last but certainly not least, Devin White. He's a guy that I'm sure is going to be on this list for many, many years to come. Just missed the cut here at number 20. But he's an honorable mention, stud linebacker at LSU, and for he and Lavonte David, again, I said this before, a linebacker duo that is, it's hard to match up with those two guys. There's a couple of good linebacker duos, especially in the NFC, but I don't know many better than Lavonte and Devin White. Guys, kill that like button for me on this Facebook Live. Share this on your Facebook like I did on the Ron and Ian page, as well as my own personal page, and leave some comments there on the bottom of the screen. What do you think of the list so far, and who makes your list? Bart Hill, can't wait to hear Dave Michigan and Phil Esposito again on the radio broadcast. No team better than those two. Bart, keep it locked right here. We'll have some lightning guys for you in a bit. At number 15, Brandon, don't call me Lowe, Brandon Lau. They traded Nate Lowe today, the Rays did, so a little bit less confusion in the 2021 season. Brandon Lau, last year not ranked, this year one of the best second basemen in the game. They just came out with the All-MLB team last night. DJ LeMahieu won the first team. Hard to go against him, a guy batted, I believe, in the 340s. But Brandon Lau was fantastic. I know his average dipped a little bit, and he had his struggles in the postseason. But this really is, when he is hot, when he is flying, he is one of the best hitters in baseball. And this is a guy that, he's an underrated fielder, and he can play some outfield as well. Very versatile. He fits exactly what the Rays want in a player where you have that positional flexibility, and this is a guy that they locked in to a nice contract early on, so you're going to see him for years. I'm excited to see that double play tandem of Brandon Lau and Willie Adames for many years to come. Number 14, one of his teammates, Blake Snell, and if you see Snell at 16 last year, bumps up to number 14. He was actually number 1 overall in the first time I did this back in 2018, but you see what you get from Blake Snell, and great pictures. Big shout out to Getty Images for all these fantastic pictures. But Blake Snell, left-handed pitcher, one of the best left-handed pitchers in the game. You love the performance from him in Game 6. I know a lot of people are still not happy with the whole decision to take him out, but Blake is one of those guys that took the baseball in the postseason and really went out there and did exactly what Kevin Cash and his coaching staff needed. He's one of those guys a lot of people are talking about. Maybe they're going to trade him. Do you want to trade a guy like Blake Snell? I don't know, man. He's still, controllable contract. Do you sign him to another deal to kind of extend his career here? He wants to stay in Tampa Bay. This is a guy that grew up in the Pacific Northwest. He wants to stay here in Tampa Bay. I know his trade value probably isn't going to be any higher than it is right now, but Blake Snell, Kevin Kiermar, that's been bandied about a lot the last couple of weeks. I'd love to see both of them stay. I want to see some lifers. I want to see guys that start their career in a Rays uniform and finish their career in a Rays uniform and have a nice career. And Blake's a guy that likes to take the ball every 5th day and to shove, man, bump day. I love that. I love that he takes the onus and he makes it his. And I'm a huge Blake Snell fan, and I think he's only going to get better. He's already got 1 Cy Young under his belt. Who knows? He may have another in his future. Number 13. Let's stay with the Rays, shall we? Erik Neander. Listen, this guy, and I know a lot of people outside the Tampa Bay area are like, who's Erik Neander? I don't know. This is the guy that puts it all together. When people say that, look at their payroll and look at their roster, no way they can compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox of the world. This guy says, we have enough. And he's able to go out there and make these deals and find these guys in trades when people have no idea who these guys are. And Erik Neander comes through, and it's not just him, it's the entire front office, but you can tell when you talk to Erik Neander, he always has a plan. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. He doesn't get kind of overhyped when there's a lot of outside noise, and he plays things close to the vest, but he's also very honest as well. I've had the opportunity to be able to talk to Erik a bunch of times, and he's just a really, really good dude, and he's like the perfect guy for this position for the Tampa Bay Rays, because you have a lot of people say, what's the deal with the opener? There's so many things that people say about the Tampa Bay Rays, and that'll never work. There's no way that'll work. Well, they made it all the way to Game 6 of the World Series this year, so a guy like this does a fantastic job with the Tampa Bay Rays. Again, last year, number 10, slides back a little bit. Number 13 this year is Erik Neander, and he's made the list, I believe, all 3 years. He gets a lot of respect and a lot of love, not just from the fans, but from the media. And, you don't always get that, especially, in markets like Tampa Bay with the Rays, where it's a little bit of a smaller market, some people say, with the payroll. Even though I don't think it's a small market, but, with the payroll. And he has to be very creative with the decisions that he makes. And a lot of times, hey, man, do you doubt him? How can you doubt this guy? How can you doubt the Rays? They make so many good moves. Leave comments right there on the screen. Joshua Torres, talk to ownership so we can make guys like Snell and KK stay Rays lifers. I'm going to text you right after this. Jimmy Stokes wants to know if Mike Evans is on here. Jimmy, You're going to have to wait, Jimmy. But not that long, Jimmy, because Mike Evans is right here. Jimmy Stokes, you read my mind, my friend. Number 12 on the list last year. He was number 3. So Mike slips a little bit. And it's not so much of what he's not doing. It's more of kind of the influx of stars this year with the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup and the Rays making it to the World Series. And then, the Bucks added some big names as well. So it's not so much of what Mike Evans is doing or not doing. I think it's more of kind of a product of everybody around, not just the Bucks, but the entire Tampa Bay sports world. But cool to see Mike in at number 12. I really love this. That full pewter look. I know some people like it. Some people don't like it. I think it looks smooth, man. And I like the numbers. The numbers are just so much more clear this year. They don't look like an alarm clock. So I'm 100% on board with that. Coming in at number 11 on the list this year, we have Rob Gronkowski. And, of course, last year not rated with him not being part of the Tampa Bay sports scene. But how can you not think that this guy is an absolute star? A former 24/7 champion in the WWE. And you know how good he was with the New England Patriots. A future first ballot Hall of Famer. And a guy that, and you're going to hear from him tomorrow on the Ron and Ian Show. Shh, don't tell Ron. Don't tell Ron at all. It's not like Ron's watching. Ron's not a big Facebook or a social media guy. But Rob Gronkowski, just an awesome dude. And we asked him to do something for Ron's retirement tomorrow. Don't ruin the surprise, ladies and gentlemen. But how can you not put Rob Gronkowski on the list? I'm going to give you my list at the end. He's a lot higher than number 11 because I'm thinking stars. When you think a guy is a star, he could be in a movie. If you see him walking down the street in downtown Tampa or downtown St. Pete, is he going to be mobbed by fans alike? Rob Gronkowski is going to have a tough time being able to just walk down the street incognito with a lot of people not coming up to him trying to say hello. I would. Gronk, what's going on, buddy? Let's recap 11 to 20, starting with 20, Bruce Arians, Tony Dungy, Kevin Kiermar, Lavonte David, Robiggins at 16. Then we got Brayden Lau at 15. To start the run of the Tampa Bay Rays, Snell at 14, Neander at 13, and then a pair of Buck teammates at 12 and 11 with Evans and Gronkowski, respectively. Jimmy Stokes, hell of a job with the retirement. Ronnie D, you need to slide in that spot, bud. Well, thank you very much, Jimmy. We'll see what the future holds. Desiree says she loves him. Thanks, Des, for watching. Bart Hill, no way. Gronk. Bart, is he too low? Is he too high? Should he not be on the list? Feel free, again, to leave your comments there, and I'll read them there on the screen. Appreciate everybody for tuning in for the Ron and Ian retirement show, or the Ron and Ian show, Ron Diaz retirement today. A lot of fun. Some great guests, whether it's Mike Allstott, Doug. Today was like a Bucks theme. Bob Hugo, Michael Clayton, Doug Williams, Mike Allstott. Just really cool to hear from those guys that were such big members of the Tampa Bay community over the years. Dave Wills joined us today as well, Corey Long. Tomorrow, man, a star-studded cast. We have 24 interviews. I also have about 25 messages that we're going to play as we rejoin you guys in every segment. We did a little bit of that today, but tomorrow, man, we got some big hitters, some big names. So, again, make sure you're tuning in at 3 o'clock tomorrow, 3 to 7. It's going to go by like that. But tomorrow is going to be a very, very special day. So if you're going to tune in at all tomorrow, again, make sure you're tuning in tomorrow at 6 a.m. to watch Ronnie and T-Kraz, and then Pat and Aaron noon to 3. Dan Patrick, of course, on 9 to 12. But 3 to 7 tomorrow is going to be a very, very special show with Ron and Ian. So, again, tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get back to the list. Coming in at number 10. He was number 15 last year. The great Jeffrey Finnick, the Lightning owner. How about that picture? This was right after the belt. That was Alex Killorn's belt. He was wearing that all during the celebration. He gives it to Jeffrey Finnick, and that's the picture right after he was awarded the belt. Is there a guy that has done more for this community in the last 10 years than this man? Just incredible. And I always tell the story about Jeff Finnick every single year, and I don't know if we'll have it this year, but we have Fan Fest every year, and I've had the opportunity to interview him the last couple of years, and he goes, Jay, I'll be right back. I'm going to go walk around. You just don't see guys that are billionaires just walking around Amalie Arena just shaking people's hands. You know, a lot of guys, you know, they want to have personal security and stay away from people, but not Jeff Finnick, man. He has really just dove into this community head first, and he's one of us. He doesn't act like it's, oh, I'm up on this pedestal and I'm up here and I'm looking down on everybody. That's not him. That's not Jeff Finnick. He's another salt-of-the-earth guy, just a real humble dude, and, man, he's done so much for our community, and so great to see him celebrate with guys like Nikita Kucherov. After the Stanley Cup victory, there was nobody happier, I think, than him. I got a chance to stand right next to him when Kucherov was hugging him right when we got off the boat, and I was like, man, Jeff Finnick, when you talk about making an investment and having it pay off, Jeffrey Finnick's a great example of that. Bart Hill says, who can forget Bill White and Brady Gronk? We all love Gronk and Brady. That is just awesome. Where does Gronk fall on the list? We had him at number 11. What about Brady? Where is Tom Brady? That is a good question. The answer coming up. Number 9 on the list. Let's stay with the Tampa Bay Lightning. A big Lightning theme in our top 10 coming in at number 9. Brayden Point, he jumps up from number 20 last year. One of the best two-way forwards in the game, one of the fastest skaters in the game, and just a phenomenal performance. If he would have won the Conn Smythe for the MVP of the playoffs instead of Victor Hedman, nobody would have batted an eye. He did such a great job. He's such a tone setter for this Tampa Bay Lightning team, and just a real humble guy. You love that chemistry that he has with Nikita Kucherov. It's just a dynamic 1-2 combination that, man, defenses in the NHL, what do you do? How do you stop a guy like Brayden Point? And the crazy thing about it, I think his best days could possibly be in front of him, but great to see him hoist the Stanley Cup this year, a guy that was well-deserved, and a guy, again, like I said, it's only going to get better. Think about how strong that the Lightning are down the middle with he and Anthony Cirelli and Cedric Paquette and just, Yanni Gourde playing between Coleman and Goodrow. The Lightning are going to be set at that center position for a long, long time. Coming in at number 8 on this list, is it another member of the Tampa Bay Lightning? You bet it is. Nikita Kucherov. What a great picture of Kuch with the Stanley Cup. That was at the celebration at Raymond James Stadium. He drops from number 1 last year, and I look at it very similar to Mike Evans, where I don't know so much if it was him, but it was more of like there's a lot of star influx and the Stanley Cup and the dramatic moments. And Kuch, even though he had a fantastic playoff run, I guess last year, winning the MVP put him a little bit more star power, but I don't know, man. The celebration, you thought Alexander Ovechkin knew how to celebrate with the Stanley Cup? My man Nikita Kucherov said, hold my beer. Actually, hold both of my beers, because I got to hoist the Stanley Cup over my head. So Nikita coming in at number 8 after being number 1 last year. What do you guys think about that? Nikita Kucherov, a little bit low. Some people are going to say that. I saw some people have Kuch in the top 3. Feel free to leave those comments there at the bottom of the screen, and I'll do my best to read them on air for you. Share the like button. Share this on your Facebook. Kill that like button as well. Number 7 on the list. Another Lightning player? Sure is. Steven Stamkos, the captain. Last year comes in at number 5. Number 7 this year. You're going to remember a lot of things about the Stanley Cup run for the Tampa Bay Lightning. You're going to remember the boat parade. You're going to remember that you weren't in attendance because they played in the bubble. But I don't know if many other memories are going to stick out more than what Steven Stamkos did with that goal in the Stanley Cup final. Only playing a couple shifts, going out there along the right wing and being able to fire a puck past Anton Khudobin, and just the way that the Lightning players celebrated on the bench like it was a Stanley Cup clinching goal. Man, that is something that I'll never forget. And I know a lot of people in Tampa Bay, it kind of, it brought a tear to your eye. It was so emotional. You know what Stammer went through. And, if you go to lightninginsider.com with our good friend Erik Erlendsson, he had that exclusive one-on-one. They talked about how he lost the child during this whole thing. And, man, just what an emotional roller coaster for Stammer throughout this whole process. And for him to be able to get kind of his moment in the sun, that moment of glory for him to be able to contribute. It's one thing to contribute off the ice, and we know how important he is as far as a leadership, not just in this community, but on his team. But to be able to go out there and chip in on the scoreboard, again, that's it's an emotional moment, and in my opinion, it's up there with, the Rondé pick to send the Buccaneers to the Super Bowl, the big home run for Dan Johnson, the big home run for Evan Longoria, game 162, and I think that it's kind of right in order with that. Brett Phillips with the walk-off hit in the World Series. I mean, you look at what Steven Stamkos did in that game, and that's what legends are made of right there. Number 6, John Cooper. Let's stay with the Lightning, right? Last year, an honorable mention, all the way up to number 6. And for those people out there that thought John Cooper should have been fired, Julien Brisebois and Jeff Finnick should have let him go, he comes back this year, and he leads his team with that steady hand, that even keel attitude. And that's what you love to see with that Tampa Bay Lightning team. They didn't freak out. They just kind of stayed with the course. They just played the right way. Whether they lost an overtime game or won an overtime game, they stayed with their structure. And I thought he did a fantastic job of not only empowering his assistant coaches to be able to do their thing and, put their fingerprints on this team, but also knowing when to kind of just sit back and just chill out, relax a little bit. To see him celebrate, during the boat parade as well, it was just, they're excited too. There's that joy, there's, that happiness, but there's also a little bit of a sense of relief because of the way last year happened, the way the Lightning went out to the Columbus Jackets and Blue Jackets in 4 games, and to be able to come back and to be able to not just kind of exercise that demon by beating Columbus, by, knocking them out in the first round, but you also make it to the Stanley Cup final and then you win. What magical moment for him, and just such a storybook, very similar to what Virginia did. I know Dick Vitale said it. That might be one of the guests tomorrow for Ron and Ian. But Dick Vitale was saying that it was like the University of Virginia that lost. They were the first number 1 seed to lose in March Madness to a 16 seed. They come back the next year, they win the whole thing. Tony Bennett and his squad did a great job there with Virginia. But John Cooper, very similar to that whole situation there. So really cool to see him kind of bounce back from a really down year, and even though they had such a fantastic year, they won all the awards, President's Trophy, one of the best years ever, and to go out sheepishly and then to be able to come back and roar back and win the Stanley Cup, really, really good stuff. Guys, leave your comments, questions, concerns, put them there at the bottom of the screen, share in on the conversation, share this on your Facebook, kill that like button. Bart Hill to win the Cup this year in the bubble with everything going on had to be the hardest to win ever. I'm with you, and I know some people out there say, oh, it wasn't that hard and this and that. You're not around your family. That was way harder than I think anybody could realize unless you were in that bubble. So kudos to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I take my hat off to you guys. You did a fantastic job, and we appreciate all the celebrations when you guys came back here to Tampa Bay. So looking at the list, let's look back and who's missing. Excuse me. Who's missing? Excuse me. Jameis Winston. He's not on the list anymore. Of course, he's not in Tampa Bay. He's not eating W's here in Tampa Bay. Last year at number 7. Chris Godwin was a guy I was a little surprised. Wasn't on the list this year. Last year comes in at number 9. Obviously banged up a little bit with the injuries. He just got the pins out of his fingers. All the other stars. I think that hurt him as well. Austin Meadows, he was banged up pretty much all year. He didn't look to be his same self in the playoffs. That's why he's not on the list this year. Last year at number 11. Shaq Barrett. Last year, all those sacks, you really thought he was on the precipice of being one of the best pass rushers in the game. He's still a very good player. Last year at number 13. This year doesn't make the list. Michael Kelly, the guy, the AD for USF. Excuse me. Last year at number 17. This year he doesn't make the list. Titus O'Neil last year at number 18 didn't make the list this year. Joe Madden, Brian Gregory, and G-Man Choi as well. Some of the other guys didn't make the list. There was a couple guys from the Rowdies. I know Coach Collins was on a bunch of people's lists. He didn't make the list, but really good to see some of the Tampa Bay media members giving him some love. KJ Sales, also another guy, didn't make the list, but excuse me, got a tickle in my throat, trust me. There we go. Whew, I'm good. Vince McMahon, somebody else put, so there was a lot of different guys that didn't make the list this year, but a lot of good answers from all of our members of the media here in Tampa Bay. Back to the list, number 5, Kevin Cash. Last year, number 2. Slides back to number 5 this year. Did a masterful job leading the Tampa Bay Rays to the World Series. I know people were not happy with him taking out Blake Snell, but listen, if it was Kevin Cash, it would have been anybody else. That's the way the organization does things. That shouldn't really take away from what Kevin Cash does and, the job that he does managing the players and their emotions and their egos all year long. He's just the perfect guy, the right guy for this job, and a Tampa guy through and through. So always good to see a guy from the Tampa Bay area going to Florida State and then right here with one of our teams with the Tampa Bay Rays. Number 4. That's right, Andrei Vasilevskiy. Last year at number 8. This year at number 4, this guy, listen, the best goalie in the world. I know he didn't win the Vezina this year. That one went to Connor Hellebuck. He did a great job for the Winnipeg Jets. But when you tell me you're going to give me one choice to be the goaltender of my hockey team, I'm picking this guy right here. And when you look at the playoff run that Tampa Bay Lightning had, no other goalie played every minute of every game. he was the only one, and he played the longest. And think about all the overtime games and the 3 round robin games. He played every minute of that. We were wondering, Curtis McElhinney going to get in any of those games? It never happened. Andrei Vasilevskiy, the big cat, just came into his own and just led the Tampa Bay Lightning to a victory. And, man, it's just, that gives you a little bit of, kind of calm, right? I mean, you look at certain positions, the quarterback in football, you look at shortstop and center field, and the catcher kind of strung up the middle for baseball and some starting pitching, but the goaltender in hockey, there's not many positions in sports more important than that. And the Lightning, they got a good one, to say the least, for at least the next 10, 15 years. Number 3, this guy wasn't on the list last year. Two of the top 3 guys weren't even on the list last year. They weren't even considered. This guy, how good was Randy Rosario for the Tampa Bay Rays? Phenomenal. Whether it was his hitting in the regular season down the stretch, the division series, what he did against the Yankees, the Astros, the World Series. I mean, this guy, they're making a movie about Randy Rosario. That tells you all you need to know. He was just unbelievable, and he's still eligible for the Rookie of the Year. You think about it, he could win ALCS MVP, and then the next year win the Rookie of the Year. That's nuts. But he is a guy, to me, when you look at what the Rays did well, especially offensively, he's the guy. The Rays need to add more around him because there's going to be a lot of pitchers pitching around him next year. So the Rays need to give him a little bit of support to make sure that he gets pitches to hit. Because we see with other lineups around the league, you have that one stud and you don't have anybody. Bryce Harper's a great example of that. There's teams that are just like, hey, we'll put him on. You saw a little bit in the World Series too. I don't think the Dodgers gave him a whole ton of pitches to hit. And even when he did get a chance to make contact with them, he usually put him over the wall. Number 2 on the list, you guessed it, Victor Hedman. Last year at number 14. This year at number 2, the Conn Smythe winner, MVP of the playoffs for the Tampa Bay Lightning. What do you think about Victor Hedman coming in at number 2? Leave your questions, comments, concerns there at the bottom. Share this on your Facebook. Kill that like button as well. Good to see Heddy on there. To me, the best individual trophy to win. We say the hardest trophy to win is the Stanley Cup, but I always think that the coolest trophy to win is the Conn Smythe because they award it over the entire length of the playoffs. So you can't just have a couple of good days, or you can't just have, one good series. You have to be good the entire length of the postseason. That's exactly what Victor Hedman was. And remember, he got hurt in that last round robin game. There was a lot of people that didn't think that he was going to play in Game 1 against Columbus. What happens? He plays, they go 5 overtimes, and then he doesn't miss a beat the entire way. And just an awesome guy. I got a chance to talk to him as soon as he got off the plane, and he was carrying the Conn Smythe trophy, and I said, what do you have to say to the fans? And he goes, Stanley finally gets a tan. And just an all-around great dude, big Manchester United fan, so we get along really well. That's one really common theme for a lot of people on this list. Not just great players and great front office members, but also good dudes as well. Victor Hedman, number 2 on the list. Who's number 1? Who can guess who number 1 is? Anybody? What a surprise. Coming in at number 1, Tom Brady. Last year not ranked, obviously, because he was the quarterback of the New England Patriots, but how's he not number 1 on the list? I mean, obviously one of the biggest stars ever. A lot of people think the best quarterback ever. So when he comes down here in Tampa Bay, and I was kind of wondering how this was going to go. In years past, what I did was I had the media members, and it was only, I'd say about 20 last year. Again, we got almost 40 this year. I was wondering where people were going to put Tom Brady. Because he is the biggest star in Tampa Bay, whether people like it or not, and yeah, I know he got his fame from being, a New England guy playing up in that, in the Boston area. But again, man, he's the GOAT. And that's why there's been so much attention here in Tampa Bay on the Buccaneers and all sports is because of number 12. So he comes in at number 1. What I did this year was I kind of ranked everybody when everybody gave the list. Usually when people make the list, I would just give them a point, and then whoever made each list, that's how I would grade. This year what I did was I did a point system. So I had everybody rank them, and number 1 got 10 points, 2 got 9 points, and so on and so forth. And when I polled, I think it was 37 people. Tom Brady came in first in the most. He had 269 points. Victor Hedman came in second in 206. Randy Rosario in third with 162. Andrei Vasilevskiy at 136 came in fourth. And then Cash at 122 just edged over John Cooper, 121. So really cool to see how that whole thing broke down. So let's take a look at the entire list Tom Brady at 1, Hedman 2, Rosario 3. At 4, Andrei Vasilevskiy, Kevin Cash, John Cooper, and Stamkos 5, 6, and 7. Rounding out the top 10, Nikita Kucherov at 8, Brayden Point at 9, and then of course the Lightning owner, just an unbelievable person, Jeff Finnick at number 10. Rob Gronkowski at 11, Evans, his Buccaneer teammate, at 12, and then a couple of Rays guys, 13 through 15, Erik Neander, Blake Snell, and Brandon Lau. Rob Higgins from the Tampa Bay Sports Commission at number 16, Lavonte David at 17, Kevin Kiermar at 18, and then a couple of Buccaneer coaches, past and current, Tony Dungy and Bruce Arians, 19 and 20 respectively. So, that was the list. What about my list? Here's my top 10, okay? I agree. I had Tom Brady at number 1. I have Rob Gronkowski in at number 2. I know on the list he came in at number 11, but again, star. He is the biggest star outside of Tom Brady. Gronk walks in any building, everybody knows who's that. Yeah, he's probably dancing around. He's probably going like a maniac. But I got Gronk at number 2. I look at the Lightning next. I got Stamkos in at number 3 because I think being the captain, the moment. People look back and think, what is the biggest moment from the Stanley Cup victory? It's not the win. To me, it's the Stamkos moment when him coming out and scoring the goal. I don't think you can go wrong either way. I got Victor Hedman in at number 4. What else is there to be said about him? And then Kucherov and Finnick at 6. I had to get a Rosario in there. I think he makes the list. He took the baseball world by storm. I know the Dodgers won it. I know, Kershaw and all the great players, Bellinger. But Randy Rosario, to me, was the story of the major leagues this year. And he comes in at number 7. I had Snell at number 8. Mike Evans at number 9. And nobody else, but not many people have this guy on his list. But I have him on my list. Alex Killorn, Doc Talk, number 10. Just because, A, he was on the Lightning, so that helps. B, the Doc Talk thing was huge. Getting people and, during the whole COVID restriction and, the video that they made with all the jet skis. I mean, I think Alex Killorn is one of those guys that was underrated, to me, a star for the Tampa Bay Lightning, as if they needed anybody else. I just want to say thank you to everybody that was involved. Ian Beckles, Tom Ponzo, Zach Blobner, Dan Lucas, Chris Torello, Justin Granite, Jones, Stroud, Cummings, Long, Chuck, Momola, Hollenberg, Neighbor, Sable, Erlinson, Sycamore, Lane, Lighthall, Jacobson, Burns, Krasnicki, Malone, Kinsella, Cairns, Behringer, Sektic, Baker, Bass, Greg Wolf, Pat Donovan, Catherine Smith, Mark Topkin, Ron Diaz, and Eddie Encina. So many people helped out, and I can't thank you guys enough. I really enjoyed doing this. I really wanted to do a different kind of production this year, a little bit more bells and whistles, better sound. But Ron Diaz decided to retire, so that's where a lot of my focus has been. I'm out of town on Saturday for a couple weeks. I haven't had a vacation in God knows how long, even though they like to bust my chops about that on the air. But I wanted to do this again because we've been doing it every year, 3 years now. And I can't thank all of our friends here in the Tampa Bay media that were able to help me out with this and to give me their opinion. Some people just put the names, and I had to get them to, hey, man, can you rank these for me? And then the great Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times, we'll hear him on air tomorrow on the Ron and Ian Show. He gave me like a little breakdown for each guy, and I appreciate that, Rick, because I know you're a very busy guy with everything that's going on with the Buccaneers. So thank you to all the Tampa Bay media members. You guys are awesome, great people, great friends. I couldn't do it without you. And all the people that were tuning in today, Desi, my man Kay Nunez, Bart Hill, Joshua Torres, or Josue. I've had friends named Joshua, friends named Josue with the Jousue. So Joshua or Josue, appreciate you guys. This has been a lot of fun. We're going to do this every year again. Next year, hopefully, a little bit more of the bells and whistles. But I wanted to get it in. I wanted to do it again for you guys. It's a lot of fun. Just me sitting here, man, with a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation and just taking a little bit of a different look at sports in Tampa Bay. What an unbelievable year 2020 was, with the Rays making it to the World Series, the Lightning win the Stanley Cup, the Buccaneers, they're on the map, man. I know it's 7-5, but they're on the map. People are talking about the Buccaneers, and that's a great thing. USF, to me, I think they're on the way up. They got a lot of good things going on. You see the big top 10 win for the women's basketball team. I think Jeff Scott's the right guy there. Big shout out to Brian Gregory and the men's basketball team and all the assorted USF teams out there. Michael Kelly, Brian Segrist, and everybody over there at USF. I appreciate you guys. You guys are, man, it's on the way up. You want to be on that ground level. USF is that place. And even the Rowdies, man, like I said, Coach Collins got a couple of votes too. Eastern Conference champions. Come on, you Rowdies. I was on the way, man. I was going to go to the championship game for the USL. I was so excited. And then, unfortunately, they had to cancel it. But bright future ahead for the Tampa Bay Rowdies and, man, for every team here in the Tampa Bay area. So you guys keep doing you. Keep being the best fans here in the Tampa Bay area, and appreciate everybody, as always, for tuning in to 95.3 WDAE and AM 620 on the airwaves, and also on our Facebook Lives. Man, we couldn't do this without you. And those numbers, when we see the views go up, man, it means a lot. It really does, because you put a lot of work into this stuff, and when it's reciprocated by you guys out there, and the nice comments, those never get old. So thank you, everybody out there. Tune in tomorrow, starting live at 6 a.m. Ronnie and T-Crash, you're not going to want to miss that. Dan Patrick, 9 to 12. Noon to 3, Goons in the House, Pat and Aaron Show. That's going to be a lot of fun. I always love their Friday shows. And then starting at 3 o'clock tomorrow, the final Ron and Ian show ever. It's emotional, man, just even thinking about the final show for Ron Diaz in the Tampa Bay market. Even, we talk a lot about, it's Ron's last show. But to me, I think about it too, it's the final Ron and Ian show. I mean, it's 17 years. It just doesn't happen very often where you have two guys stay together and have such success like that. Our last two ratings books were the highest they've ever been in that day part. So it's good to send Ronnie D off with a bang, and he's going out on the high notes like Michael Strahan and John Elway. We're just happy to do it. But tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we got special, opening songs and closing songs, and man, it is going to be nuts. This is going to be the most star-studded show in sports radio history. And I don't think that's hyperbole. I know people have had big shows in the past, so they've had 4 or 5 guests. We're going to have over 20 guests tomorrow. We're going to have over 20 messages from a lot of big names, not just here in the Tampa Bay area, but all around the world. So, again, I cannot stress to you guys enough. Tune in at 3 o'clock tomorrow, the final Ron and Ian show. It'll be worth your while, trust me. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. Make sure you follow me on all social media accounts at JRetro. Follow the station at 95.3 WDAE. Thank you guys for tuning in as we revealed the top 20 sports stars of Tampa Bay in the year of 2020. I'm gone.